Good day, and welcome to another episode of Clang versus the Space Engineers. This is your host, Wolfenray, and I know it's been a long time since the last episode, but as you know, I'm just going to start a new season, and I think that you're going to like the level of proficiency that I have developed over time since the last episodes. I had my first season ones, which were jerky and they didn't work very well. Then I had my second season ones where I upgraded my computer pretty good, but there was only a couple of those. They worked out really well. And then finally you have this episode here where I think will be the start of a new season. This will be episode 1 of season 3. So, I suppose, let me describe to you what's going on. I'm sitting in my planetary center, of course. And, what you see in front of me is I'm watching my television screen. Now, all of these events that you see on this television screen happened prior. I went into my, as you can see, I'm climbing the stairs right now, and I went into my gunship to go check up on that ship that we shot the ballistic missile at, called the Bishop. Of course, we named it the Bishop because we were in a game of chess against Clang, who is a rogue AI. And well, that's how we have identified Clang to be. Could be a lot more than that. I mean, there was a lot of mystery that went on in one of the capital ships we met in an earlier episode. Well, we know it's been a whole struggle. It's been a whole struggle, but we did meet the Pilgrim's Curiosity class freighter, and this one is like an Archiventus class frigate, which is commonly used by pirates. So when I went to check it out, I disabled its weapons. As you can see here, I'm shooting from my gunship, you know, just doing a standard turret disabling maneuver. But what happens next takes me by surprise. I go in to take out the missiles, and then all of a sudden all these missiles fly out at me, and I take an impact right here along the side of my my airship, but my gunship. However, as you can see, it blasted a big old hole in the side, but I didn't die. And better yet, the gunship was still able to function. All I had to do was just kind of park it on top of the outpost, and there you go. I mean, it just kind of welded up a little bit, and I mean, it was missing a couple of engines, it was missing a lot of hull, and I also missing a rocket pod off that side. But man, I took a direct hit from a missile, and it just hit me in the one spot where, I mean, a little bit over to the left, or yeah, probably a little bit over to the left or to the right or whatever, a little bit over, would have blew up my cockpit and me in it. But instead, what happens is that, you know, you hit the one spot of the ship where a missile doesn't blow me up completely. Well, I was super fortunate, I gotta tell you right now. So, I went back for another, you know, just to see what was going on, and it looks, you know, back to just check out the ship, you know, that fell from the sky. And fortunately for me, that was all the missiles that were in the turret. There was only a few missiles. So, you know, out of those 6 or 7 missiles that come blasting at me, only one hit, which is amazing. Usually these turrets are super accurate. And I was able to check out the wreckage. Well, I guess I'll move on. moving on means that I need to go on to my second task, which is to recalibrate the system AI. This is its main data bank. I pretty much rebuilt it, but there's just a few hiccups that I need to kind of work out to get it initialized. Now, I don't know what I'm getting into with this AI, so it's really experimental for me. Okay, that should do it. Let's see what happens here. I'll try to plug in and get everything initialized. Alrighty, here we go. Hang on a minute.
Hello, thank you for activating my program. I'm Good AI designation 1.181.4. I am the central AI for the Wolfe system, and my base data bank is located at the Planetary Center Administration building on the planet Solaris.
Sweet, I got it to run. You know, I've had such a hard time getting an AI to work here. Even in previous episodes, it was quite the challenge for me.
Solaris is the only habitable world suitable for the human species without environmental assistance.
Oh yeah, I remember now. AIs have a tendency to state what is only obvious. Well, I think I already know this, Captain Obvious.
I see that you are an independent space engineer, and the only human within my sensor and detection capabilities.
As far as I can tell, I think you are probably correct about that.
However, these abilities are quite limited, as I do not have access to essential hardware to make an adequate assessment. Fortunately, you are a space engineer, so that situation may be rectified in due course.
Well, let's just get you fully operational first.
Since you are the one to reinitialize my program, what would you like my name to respond be?
Well, you seem to have the default British accent, and it's a pretty good one too, so why don't we just call you Alfred, like a butler or something?
Then I will respond to the name Alfred. Though it is typical that you would name me that because of my phonetic English accent.
Okay, what do you mean by that, Alfred?
You must be of the United States of America descent.
Are you implying that just because I am an American, that I would typically name you Alfred? Well, aren't you quite the snarky one?
I see that you have brought me online, and you are the only human life sign that I detect. My database tells me that I was last online 6 months ago, Earth Standard Cycle. You must be here to investigate what has happened here in Solaris.
Alright, so you changed the subject. That's okay, straight to business, are we? Well, I am here to investigate what has happened, and you said that 6 months ago was when you were last online?
I believe I may have some answers, though these answers will lead to more questions for you to investigate.
Yeah, you're right. And we don't need to answer those questions right now. Let's just concentrate on getting you running, okay?
How do you prefer to be referred as space engineer?
Well, my gamer tag is Wolfenray 73, but you can just call me Wolfenray.
Wolfenray. Then I will download into my hard drive recognition protocols to address you accurately as the human space engineer named Wolfenray. In the meantime, I will answer your questions as you work, as well as upload to your current engineered projects and machines. Please make sure you have computational hardware available for me to access. In that way I can accompany and aid you in the future to come.
Thank you. You know, Alfred, I think you and I are gonna get along just well. Well, here I am again, and I'm reviewing the second half of my trip to the ship that crashed off the outpost there. You know, after I got shot, I was pretty shaken, and after fixing up my ship, I felt like I could go back and just kind of check out and see what what I was looking at there. Now it looks like the vessel just kind of crashed right there along the side of the mountain. So, you know, I was really surprised that my machine actually worked with that big hole in the side there, but worked fine. I mean I was missing a couple of engines, you know, but it's a pretty good design. So I decided, okay, maybe I'm just gonna check to see if these things are actually not gonna shoot at me, because I was pretty sure that missile launcher was gonna shoot at me. However, it was out of ammunition. Now I didn't check the rest of the spaceship, you know, because, you know, I'll salvage it later. I mean, it has some power in it still, but I took, you know, some of the uranium. And I decided, okay, maybe for a second I'll stop by the outpost here and pick up some supplies for my way home. But the airship is a gun, you know, the gunship is really not made to carry cargo. All it's got is a connector on the bottom, and that's just a really loaded ammo, so it's really meant to carry bullets. Here I am doing some tricks, just kind of having fun. I think I was probably going way too fast and having some atmospheric drag issues. But you know, it's the middle of the day, and I really wanted to play around a little bit. You know, it's not every day I get to fly my ship. I survive a missile impact at a small craft like that. It's just beautiful. I guess there's not much more to say. You know, I'm up here late at night, and it seems like you know, I got Alfred running, which is really good. So, you know, thought I'd just review the rest of my video here while I was before I go to bed for the evening into my cryo chamber. But I would really like to make something called food. You know, those cryo chambers, you get in them, and then of course they sustain you. You know, they take care of your toilet needs and take care of, you know, your hunger issues, and pretty much have sterilized anything that was fun in being human. Of course, you know, being out in space, you have to be practical about things. But I've been here on this planet for a while now, stuck because I can't seem to land a ship, even though I'm getting better. So I'm thinking maybe at some point I'm gonna just learn how to make some food. Here I am landing my ship, and I really like how everything's automatic, you know, but it's still got a long ways to go. I still got a lot of work to do. Alrighty.
Master Wolfenray, I see that you have built yourself a helicopter. Allow for me to comment that this is a fine example of your skill as an engineer.
Why, thank you, Alfred.
I do have a question. Why is it that you constructed such an outdated method of transportation? Surely, in light of atmospheric VTOL engines, such a construction of antiquity does not seem to have any practical applications.
Every vehicle is an experience, and when driving that vehicle, you know, it produces a certain atmosphere. So how am I supposed to get that helicopter, that classic helicopter experience if I don't build a helicopter?
I see. You seem to have a predilection for classics and antiques. I should have known that by the style of the environment suit you are wearing. I do believe that it is fashioned towards the style of EVA suits used by the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic during the early space race. So it is only fitting that your helicopter be of Soviet design of that era. I do have some questions. Why do you choose Soviet-made vehicles to build? Did not your own country engineer similar vehicles in the same era?
Oh, Alfred, it's just coincidence.
Coincidence. Right. At least you have a theme to it all.
Alfred, yeah, okay, you got me. Maybe I do have a common, way of doing things.
I have some Wikipedia 2077 information about this machine you're building. I am sure you already may know it, however, from your profile and demeanor that I have come to understand indicates that you enjoy historical information.
Okay, lay it on me. I do like to learn, and any information that you have is always serves to enrich my knowledge of how things work.
Here is the data. The Mikhail Mil NATO reporting name HIP was a medium twin-turbine helicopter originally designed by the Soviet Union and produced by Russia. In addition to its most common role as a transport helicopter, the Mikhail Mil was also used as an airborne command post, armed gunship, and reconnaissance platform. The Mikhail Mil was among the world's most produced helicopters, used by over 50 countries.
Oh, you don't say. That many countries, huh?
In 2015, it was the third most common operational military aircraft in the world.
Alfred, this is really cool. Say, why don't you just lay some stats on me, okay?
Role transport helicopter, also several armed versions. National origin Soviet Union, Russia. Design group Mil Moscow Helicopter Plant. Built by Kazan Helicopter Plant and Ulan-Uda Aviation Plant. First flight the 7th of July 1961. Introduction 1967. Primary users Soviet Union. Historical. Was used by 80 other countries as well during its production service. It is interesting to note that this helicopter was the most produced helicopter. You have good taste in your engineering endeavors, Wolfenray, and I applaud your skill in this replica design.
Why, thank you. I really appreciate your kind words.
I look forward in seeing this helicopter's performance in the field.
Yeah, me too. Let's just hope I don't crash it, huh?
I must say, Master Wolfenray, that I'm very much enjoying this classic helicopter experience. Now that we are well on the way to our destination, what name shall I register to the helicopter?
Well, why don't we just call it Airwolf? That name sounds pretty good to me. I like that name very much.
Airwolf. You are indeed an interesting person. Not only do you seem to have a penchant for antiquity, but the Earth wolf species as well.
Well, that may be, but really, Airwolf is an old television show from the 1980s.
A television show that aired a century ago for the general public to enjoy.
Yeah, it was about this make-pretend helicopter that the United States have, and it just kind of went around kicking butt and taking names.
About a fantasy helicopter of United States of America design. I will search my database for this television series and update my programming to accommodate any conversation you may wish to have on the subject material. In the meantime, I have registered the helicopter as Airwolf. Master Wolfenray, after reviewing your flight data, it has come to my attention a certain concern for your performance as a pilot.
Well, what do you mean, Alfred?
Even though you have admirable skill in most regards, especially in stressful and/or compromising situations, your statistical data on successfully landing within gravitational wells is somewhat underwhelming.
So you're saying that I crash a lot, huh?
Since you are the only registered human within the Wolfe system, I ask that you take care when performing this next landing.
See, I told you I could do it, Alfred. No problem.
Indeed. You have done well, and I do hope that this strengthens your skill in future attempts.
Okay, here we are at the grind. And in the grind, you know, this is like the meat and potatoes of space engineers. You grind for parts. As you can see a little bit ago, I just picked up some tubes. Got to try to get these tubes because I got to make this conveyor belt system to hook up to the side of my helicopter. Now, I play on realistic settings. And in the realistic settings, you can only carry about 400 pounds or volumes, units of volume or something like that. It's not very much. It's like 30 plates of steel and stuff. Now, I worked at a steel mill before, and I gotta tell you, one plate of steel is enough. And if you can pick up 3, you're hurting your back, especially when you gotta work all day long. It is just better to make 3 trips or use a forklift than try to pick up 3 plates of steel. But you know, realistic in the universe of space engineers is, you know, 31 to 63 plates of steel, which I suppose if it weighs about 400 pounds, that's 400 pounds that I used to pack. I'm a strong guy, and when a steel plate got about 150 pounds, I wasn't packing that by myself. I was asking my buddy to come help me, because, you know, when you're trying to bring that steel over to the galvanizing trough, you drop that steel plate, and that edge of the steel plate drop on your foot. It didn't feel good, I'll tell you that, especially if that steel plate weighed 160 pounds and it was like a 1/4 inch plate of steel, man. That could break your toe. Seriously. But, you know, realistic settings, I mean, they can't actually make it real settings. That's why it is called realistic settings, because you can get the times 10, which is what I think most people play. That's what I see in the multiplayer servers, is, you know, the times 10 business. And at times 10, you know, you're carrying like 118,000 pounds of material on your person, or maybe it's like 18,000 pounds of material on your person. It's like, really, you're picking up a whole semi truck and you're packing that on your back? I don't buy that for a second. So, you know, I play on the realistic settings. So when you play on realistic settings, you know, your handheld grinder and welder really are pointless. You really try to find ways to engineer. Now, like right here, this is how when I had my truck, which was on an earlier episode, I pulled my truck up alongside. Oh, now here's some stuff that's rolling down the hill. This is another thing about realistic settings. Just get prepared to have half your parts roll down a hill or fly off into space. Anyways, I parked my truck up alongside there and I started loading up. Now here's the thing, you have handbrakes, and handbrakes weren't really all that good at that time. I think they've worked on them since then. But my truck got a little bit too heavy and started rolling down that hill. And the funny thing is I had to catch it at the bottom of the hill where it stopped rolling, and then I just said, well, okay, I guess I'll just bring it home, man. So I've loaded up the helicopter, and now I'm going to see if I can't connect the 2 connectors together without busting my rotors up or busting my helicopter up. You can see I'm looking through my camera I built there, trying to line the whole thing up, and it looks like I got it connected pretty sweet connection. So I can turn off my rotors and stuff, and start to load up, and it looks like it's working pretty good. But it looks like I got a little bit of green up underneath there, and I need to paint it up, and might as well just paint it now while I'm jacked up like this, because you know I'm not gonna get very much opportunity to have my helicopter all up in the air where I can just kind of walk up underneath it and paint it. Now I remember that this reminds me of the tutorial when you're trying to build the aphid. Now I don't know if that tutorial is even still a thing, but back in the day when I was playing, there was a tutorial where you had to build this aphid, and then they had like these little hollow dugouts underneath where you could go up underneath it and work underneath it. Now for the longest time, all I ever built, I mean my first spaceship, my first real spaceship was small blocks. I mean, I built this thing out of small blocks. And I guess later on, but when I started becoming proficient at the game, it was called Small Blocks Gone Wild. Now, one of the things I almost forgot about is that when I disconnected with my connector, my helicopter could drop like a rock. But fortunately, my rotors are on, so here I am heading home with my parts, and boy, I tell you what, my helicopter's heavy, even at the one settings, right? You know, the mass on my instrument panel up there says is that, you know, usually it's 39 mg, whatever mg stands for, I'm not sure. I really don't know. It's European. I'm American, clearly. But when I put in all my material, it's doubled now. It's like 83 or 87, somewhere between 83 to 87. I can't really see it, but I know I got double the mass in my helicopter, right? And I'm trying to fly my helicopter home, so it took me a little bit to get that helicopter moving, and it's even decreased my speed by a lot. Oh, there's the light of my home. Well, it's my home now. I mean, I live here on Solaris, clearly, until I get a spaceship that can get back up into space. You know, I mean, I fought for this patch of land. Last time Clang came around, I shot a missile at him. But, you know, he has been leaving me alone for a while, so that's pretty good. Now, my main concern is getting this cargo over safely to the base, because if I can grind that outpost down, and then next I'll move on to the wreckage, if I can grind those down, that should give me enough material to build me a rocket ship that can get me back up into space. I mean, a decent spaceship to get me back up into space, because I am pretty sure that, you know, once I get back up into space, I'm going to be probably be attacked by Clang, because obviously I beat him here on the ground, but space is a whole new battlefield. So as you can see, I'm having a hard time trying to slow down and stuff, you know, because the cargo's so heavy. What I really like about this structure, this glass architecture, is that I can look down over my feet. Now there's this guy named Azimuth, and he builds these open cockpits, and like everybody uses them, and I don't know why these things aren't just like in the normal game, because everybody uses them. Plus, you know, I'm also using another mod pad which gives you windows on small blocks, which everybody uses that too. I mean, all the old time players do. I mean, I don't know why they don't do that either, but you know, I mean, things happen. So here I am coming in on the approach. Let's see what happens next. So the gods of the Keen universe has blessed us with something fantastic, something I think everybody wants. You see this on my truck? Those are clean windows. Man, there's been times where the windows were so dirty, you can't wash that off. I mean, make a mod. I don't think anybody in the workshop ever made a mod that said, oh man, these windows are too clean, let's make those windows really dirty. I know the developers have. Anyways, this is gonna be my final act. So if you like this, and please subscribe, please give me a like. Okay, I don't know if I'll set something up, maybe a discourse for it, but I will see you in the next episode of Clang versus Space Engineer. Bye bye.